Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Season 32 is upon us. This is the Unstoppable Armor season. And I had a pretty fun war because it lined up that there were 6 Nebula fights that just looked great for her with her immunities and her ability to nuke. So I got to use the full Nebula team. To briefly describe this, Proxima gives you 10 amp charges at the start of the fight. And when you run the recoil tree masteries, Guillotine 2099 gives you a burst of power when you are immune to bleed or poison. So with an advanced power boost, we are going to be starting each fight with 1.7 bars of power and 10 amp charges, which means we're basically ready to just nuke the opponent down every time. It's a pretty ridiculous way to play, but we're going to see some very quick matchups. Some of them are over before you can even start, and then other ones take a little bit more finesse, and we'll talk about those. But here, there is no danger with this fight. We're immune to shock, so static defense is no problem. We're obviously also immune to poison, so we're not going to be getting any poisons on us. I'm looking at the spacing, and I don't want to get cornered, so I'm just going to transfer over now. And with the recoil tree masteries and all that, it's going to do plenty of damage to send over 32 shocks. I didn't need the full 40 that time. One of the drags of running recoil with Nebula is that you do pretty much have to heal up every fight because the special 2 doesn't kill them during the recoil period, so you do have to actually take the damage. So I'm just going to be using a few small potions. Now this fight, the strike counter isn't an issue if the fight's over fast enough. The static defense, again, is no problem because we're shock immune. However, the masochism is the thing that makes this fight require a little bit of a different strategy. Because of masochism, if we parry him to transfer the shocks, they will all get purified, they will all heal him up, and then you will lose your ramp. So in order to deal with masochism, you need to land a heavy attack at some point, which is going to place a single shock on him and then reset the masochism timer. Now he also has unstoppable armor, and it's a little confusing because he has his own heavy attack charge timer and then the unstoppable armor timer. So there's like 2 overlapping timers. I want to make sure that I'm not hitting him when the armor comes up. Here's where we're going to heavy attack in the corner. Very safe. Masochism on cooldown, parry, 20 shocks, become 40 shocks, and that's the end of Man-Thing. So very fun fight. It didn't look like much was going on, but I will tell you I was keeping track of 2 timers that were overlapping and trying to land that heavy counter at the right moment, making sure that he wasn't unstoppable so that I could transfer them over. There could have been a scenario where that didn't go well, so I'm very happy that it went as smoothly as it did, pretty much perfectly executed in terms of what I planned and what actually happened. Now this node is probably the only other node of the entire war that I was a little nervous about. I'm not nervous about EMP mod. Hopefully aspect of evolution is not a problem because it's over fast enough. Thanks to DLL for some read pre-fights. It'll just help him from gaining power. It'll give my shocks a little bit more potency with the debuff siphoner. But I am pretty worried about this burden of might. If I accidentally dex, then the fight could get out of hand. So I really practiced making sure that when I'm blocking and baiting the heavy, that I am not dexing. So now, again, I want to emphasize that you don't have to get to 20 shocks, right? Because if I had gotten greedy and tried to get to 20, I may have gotten backed up, I might have dexed, and then because of burden of might, I would have lost all my power. So I looked at the scenario, I was like, I have exactly 17, that should be enough to kill him, and it did. So no issues there, and yeah, pretty fun for Nebula. Now, again, this one's going to be total overkill because of the chitinous thorns. It's going to be trying to put bleeds on me, and then because of the cutting wires, the bleeds are going to convert into shocks, which means that whenever a shock immunity triggers, then you're going to be getting amp charges like crazy. So on this fight, I needed 0 synergies, and it would have been over right away. But you can see even waiting on the unstoppable armor there, but there's no way that he's going to gain other armors. We're already at 20. Again, this would have just shot up to 20 in no time anyway. But because we have the synergy and everything was ridiculous, he just goes right down. It was a little risky throwing that special 2 because the unstoppable armor timer was coming around. You did see he went unstoppable, but it was after we hit, so we did get it in fast enough, and that one ended up not being an issue. So there was a Nova on the path, and we decided to send somebody else to take the Nova just because Nebula versus Nova probably could have nuked him down, but there are a few things about that fight, like the auto block and the stun immunity on his medium, that may have made it a little bit more difficult to maneuver, so why bother, right? So here we have an Ultron. This is on a node that I've taken Nimrod many times. It's got buffet, it's got strike counter combat rate, but he's a robot. I would be interested in trying to fight an Ultron here that was SIG 200 because the shocks have a shorter duration, so I would wonder if I would have to play it a little differently. Now you do have to make note that his functions have basically no way to be ability reduced. So you can see right there, I triggered an evade, but I was ready for it. It wasn't that big a deal. And then now we're able to push these over, and that's going to be enough to get him down. So yeah, we start with over 5 amp charges, which in the Nimrod fight that we're about to see will also come into play. Essentially, you start completely shutting down the robots. You just have to get over that second bar of power and transfer, and you'll be good. Because they're both unstoppable armor, it's not even really going to be a problem because Nebula actually reduces the ability accuracy of the unstoppable armor itself proccing. The way the node reads is that the unstoppable cannot be ability reduced, but the armor itself can. So basically, the armor from the node is never going to happen. However, if you hit the block of Ultron too many times, he will still get a function armor, which will mean you get the unstoppable potentially. So that was the only thing I had to worry about in that fight. And like I said, if he was duped, maybe I would have gotten lower shocks. But here, Nimrod, again, there's really nothing to this fight. The only thing I will say about Nimrod is before you transfer your shocks, you want to get over 2 bars, because once you dump the shocks toward him, what it's going to mean is that you will get special locked if you lose your ability accuracy. So right here, we throw the special 2, and again, that is the end of Nimrod. Right there, interesting interaction. Because I wasn't ability reducing him, the unstoppable armor came up, and because of that, he lost his stun debuff that was on him because he went stun immune. So yeah, we're learning things about unstoppable armor. There are little things that you have to really be on your toes with. I didn't really get to experience it too much though, because Nebula was just like Nuke City the entire time. So for me, this was a great, fun start to the war season, especially that Man-Thing fight. I do really enjoy using Nebula, and the fact that we scouted out an entire 6-fight Nebula war was really fun for me. So it was a quicker one today, and because of that, I am going to be throwing on a featured crystal opening. These have been coming in quite slowly, and so slowly that I can't even really make compilation videos, so I am going to just kind of leak the results of these crystals as they come. So again, I'm really looking for Null. I'm really looking for the Kitty Pryde dupe. I have ways to awaken Kitty, but just getting it naturally would be really nice. Same thing with Cersei. And then, there's just a number of other champions like, Hyperion and original Ghost Rider and the, Dr. Voodoo dupe that would be quite nice. But with that, we're going to transition to the crystal opening. Thanks for watching the war video. We did win pretty handily. BG3 actually got a perfect score. We got a 0, a donut. So awesome job to DLL and the rest of the guys in BG3. Great start to the season. And yeah, we're hoping for a really fun season, and we'll go from there. So check it out. Here's the crystal opening starting right about now. All right, so this crystal was formed from the side quest, I believe, just getting a couple extra shards toward the end of that. And I also forgot to mention Nimrod as a potential target. I've recently pulled 5-star anti-venom, almost called him Agent Venom. So that means I'm feeling a little bit less pressure to get the 6-star. I really wanted him for the synergy, and the 5-star will provide that. So yeah, there are a few champions in this crystal that I don't have yet, and they would be the priority. But again, the Kitty dupe, the Cersei dupe, the new Null Hyperion Dr. Voodoo dupe. You know, Clairvoyant is someone that I actually really need. She's a big hole in my roster. Nimrod, you know, any of those would just be absolutely amazing. I really wish that I would get a chance to open some more of these. Maybe if we get some more information about the content that's coming out next month and the rewards, we'll be seeing more of them. But here we go. There's Anti-Venom, there's Null, there's Taskmaster, and we get Icarus. So I gotta say, I'm not too upset about this because he is new. I do think that he might not necessarily be underrated, but he's just sort of unexplored. The Energize, the immunities, there may be some niche there. So I'm definitely looking forward to testing him out and seeing how he all fits together. But that's going to do it for this video. Thanks for checking it out, everyone, and I will catch you in the next one.